So very good. Now I wanted to do, we're going to return to Slumdog Millionaire so that we want to finish the book. We want to finish the book, but before I do so, I want to do a little bit of review. Okay? So I keep running out of these books. We have fewer and fewer books. So I guess, can you two share? And then the two of you share, okay? One of the things that I have, I listen to you very carefully. I listen to all of you very carefully. And what I find is that, Sawadika, I find that you're getting much better. You're getting much better at using singular and plural. You know, when to use a singular noun, when to use a plural noun. I also hear that you're very good at using the correct pronoun. Pronouns like he and she and they and them, us and we and I, and how the pronoun is supposed to agree in number with the verb. For example, I would say, he goes to the market. She goes to the market. We go to the market. You know, when to use the singular, or how the verb has to match the pronoun. When you're very good at that. The thing that when I listen to us converse, the thing that I think we want to probably work on a little bit more is how to use articles. When to use the, when to use a, when to use an. And what you have a tendency to do, and it's just because of the way the Thai language works, is that the Thai language doesn't use articles as much as the English language does. And so when I listen to you, when I have conversations with you, you often will leave out the article. And so I thought we would do a few practice exercises together just to get a little bit more practice with using articles. So I would like us to turn to page 49 in the exercise book. 49. And oh, thank you. Thank you very much, Nat.
นักเรียนมีประชุม 10 โมงครึ่งที่ห้องที่ชื่อจูลี่ไปทำแพลนไปเที่ยววันสงกรานต์ครับโอเคเที่ยววันเดียวออกตอนเช้าครับตอนเย็นครูกับนักเรียนคนไม่คุยไปเที่ยวกันฟรีว่าแค่เมนูชาวรถทัวร์นักเรียนสนใจและข้าวกินข้าวอย่างเดียว
Thank you, sir.
10 โมงครึ่ง
Now, does anybody want to translate that for me?
John said we have a meeting 10:30 about go to outing.
And when is that meeting going to be? When are you going to have a meeting?
Not yet. Decided later. Today.
Oh, today?
Today, 10:30.
At 10:30? Oh, okay. So I need to hurry. Yeah. So, but we're going to practice. Swadika. We're going to practice on page 49, and some of these sentences do not need an article. Okay, we don't need to put a the or an a or an and. Sometimes we do, sometimes we don't. And sometimes we'll say a, sometimes we'll say an, sometimes we'll say the. And what I want us to do is to decide, first of all, whether the sentence needs an article, and then if it does, which would be the correct one. Okay? And because in Thai, you don't use articles. hardly at all. But in English we do, and that's why we need practice. Because when I hear you talk, you will say something like, I didn't bring book to class. Well, that's not correct. You'd want to say, I didn't bring a book to class, or I didn't bring the book to class. So we want to use an article, we want to use the right article. So I'll do the first one. I'm looking on page 49, number 1. Now, I'm going to put in the article the, because I want to communicate, I want the meaning to show that there is a particular chair I'm referring to. So I would say, the chair on which you are sitting is not comfortable. The chair, the chair. Now, because I'm talking about a chair that you're sitting on, a special chair. If it was just any chair, I would say a chair. I could say a chair in the classroom. A classroom chair is not comfortable. I'm referring to any classroom, any chair. But now I'm referring to this classroom, this chair. So I'd say the chair on which you are sitting is not comfortable. So let's, we'll go around the room. Nat, would you start with number 2?
There is a pencil on the desk.
That's correct. A, because we're not talking about a special pencil, we're talking about any old pencil. Okay, that's good. So number 3.
There is a customer outside whom wishes to see because
That's correct. That is correct. There is a customer, because we're not talking about a special person, we're talking about any person. That's correct. And then number 4, Tim.
The customer who Mr. Smith telephone is now is here now.
Okay, that's correct. The customer. The customer. Now, here's another question, and it's a review question. The customer whom Mr. Smith telephoned this morning is not here. How do we know when to use who and when to use whom? How do we know? This is a hard question. Do you remember the rule? We use whom when we're referring to an object. So if the sentence read, Mr. Smith, who is a student in my class, telephoned me this morning, I would say who, because Mr. Smith, in that sentence, Mr. Smith is a subject. So when the pronoun starts a clause to the subject of the sentence, we use who. When it's referring to an object in a sentence, we use whom. And in this case, the customer, whom Mr. Smith telephoned this morning, is here now. Mr. Smith telephoned a customer. So customer is the object. Whom Mr. Smith telephoned is the clause, so whom is we're going to use whom because it is referring to an object. So that's chop number 5.
The good book to read tonight.
Good. That's right. Any book. Number 6.
The book is I am reading.
That's correct. Because we're talking about a particular book now. The book which I am reading now belongs to John. And number 7, Pew.
The book which
Les Miserables. It's a French. We don't pronounce it. If we used English pronunciation, we would say les miserables, but it's a French word. It's a French word, so in French it would be pronounced les miserables. It's the name of a novel, and it's my favorite book too. It's a beautiful story. It's a beautiful story. If you have a chance to read the novel, you should. Les Miserables, or it's also a movie. You could watch the movie. It's a beautiful story. Okay, number 8.
A good book is always a pleasure for me.
Right. A good book because we're referring to any book. Any book. And number 9, Suraphet.
What page is it?
Oh, I'm sorry, page 49.
49.
49. Yeah. Yeah, we're in, yeah.
เอาคนละเล่ม
มานั่งตรงนั้นเหรอ
Yeah.
Different book.
Yeah.
ข่าวข่าว
Number 9.
Mm-hmm.
49
Okay, number 9. Okay. Check. I take my time. A and N, teacher. We put A and N.
Yeah, we put, you could put, what article do we put in? Do we put in the, a, do we put in and, do we put in, what?
Okay. Number 9, have you cigarette?
A cigarette, that's correct, because we're referring to any cigarette.